Hello there, and welcome to another episode of the 3am Chats, episode 15. Can you believe it, boys? Woo! It's an incredible journey that we're on. Of course, you're with myself, Kody, you're with Harry, and you are with Joe. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello. Yo.
How are you guys keeping? I just want to ask that quick question, because we've, what's it been, like 3 weeks, I reckon, since our last episode. How are you guys doing? Are you keeping in, as we know it is, as lockdown 3? How you doing? How's it going?
Yeah, it's I'm alright. Obviously, we don't live anywhere near each other anymore, which is kind of sucks. So like, I mean, not that we could meet up anyway, but lockdown 3 is. We were saying just before we came on air, is that lockdown 3 is kind of feels a little bit different to all the rest. I think it's like it's more like, come on, let's get on with it now. Do you know what I mean? Rather than before it was like, oh my god, like we've got to find a way to keep motivated. It's got to find a way to do this. It feels like, well, we hope, touch wood, that we're on the cusp of like pushing our way out of it with all the vaccines and stuff, which is whatever you think about, whatever your political views, regardless, it's fucking amazing what they're doing. But no, I've been alright. Like motivation's a bit hard, but just plodding along really, doing all we can. But yeah, what about you, Harrison?
Good, it's pretty much the same, dude. Just trying to stay motivated. Main thing I've done is just focus on food and not eat as much of it. No, I've focused on that's what I've kind of focused on was nutrition and stuff. It's sort of given my mind something to do when there isn't anything to do. So it's been nice. And I'm reaping the benefits from it, hopefully. So yeah, I'm seeing a slow transformation, which is nice. So that's basically what I've been doing for like a month. And I'm looking forward to
that's good though, man.
Where we'll be in a few weeks' time, see where the world is and see where the UK is in a few weeks' time. What about you, Codes?
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
No, that's great, boys. Yeah, fingers crossed. Like I'm exactly the same as both of you, just getting towards the end of, staying inside, doing nothing all day. That's kind of what it feels like sometimes. But I'm doing well myself. I've been going on lots of walks, just trying to live my life at the moment and not just think too much about what's next, sort of thing. Just appreciate you're here, you're doing what you want to do, sort of thing. That's me. Getting deep already. Woohoo!
Chatting.
It's been 3 weeks. It's been 3 weeks.
Yeah, literally 3 weeks. Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of chatting a deep. Chatting the deep. Let's just go into it. Today, I'm going to bring to you both. Now, the listener, obviously, if you don't know Joe and Harry personally, they both, as their first jobs, they both did cruise jobs in the performing world. And we're going to have a little chat about how they found it. They both visited some amazing countries, some brilliant landscapes, all things you can imagine. So I just thought it'd be a great thing for us to talk about. Just gives the listener an imagination, I guess, and they can imagine the blue seas of the Caribbean to Norway to was it Morocco you went to, Haz? I can't remember. Is that where
I think I was in
Africa?
Montenegro. Was I?
Yeah.
I went to Africa. We'll cover it. I'm sure we'll get to it.
I'm sure we'll get to it. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'll go straight in with it. So the first question I got for you both, I guess we'll start with you, Joe, answering. Just makes it easy for that. What was, so for your first cruise audition that you did, what was the audition process like when you got in the room? How was it when you were in there? Were you sort of, was it a singing thing you did? Was it dancing? Sort of elaborate on that first audition that you had for a cruise.
So ironically, my first ever cruise audition, I did quite a few different cruise line auditions. I don't think Harry did, but I did quite a few. So I think I did about 5 or 6, and for different companies. Nice. And my first cruise ship audition was the job that Harry actually got. So beat me out on that one. But I'll talk about the one that I went for the job I ended up doing. So the job I ended up doing was for Royal Caribbean as a singer, and the first audition. So obviously, as a singer, I sang first, So I went in, and with Royal, they asked you to prepare loads and loads and loads of stuff. Just because sometimes they'll ask you to do it, sometimes they won't. It depends what they want to hear. It depends on you and loads of different variables and stuff. And that they give you this like pack to like look at. And I went in. I was like, okay, can you sing one song from the pack? And I was like, cool. I picked one song. I think it was "We're the Champions" by Queen. Not in the original key, so it's not that high. And then they were like, okay, what do you want to do next? And I was like, so I sang "Maniac" was the next one I sang, which is I have no clue who it's by. The 80s one, you know the one I mean?
Yeah. I remember you singing it so much when you were practicing.
yeah, that one. That is the exact one.
It's high. That's
high. But again, not in the original key. Actually, it was in the original key. My bad. So anyway, I sang those, and then they were like, "Can you stand outside?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure."
Ooh.
Must have been in there literally about 2 minutes. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. 2 minutes max. Walk outside, go stand outside the door, and then someone comes out and be like, "Can you come back tomorrow at 9 a.m?" And I'm like, and that was it. That was my first audition. was that quick. That's how I had. And I was meant to be in rehearsals for a fringe show me and Codes were doing. And the summer at the time, and I was like, okay. I was like, well, I'm not going to that rehearsal tomorrow. So anyway, so I literally the next day I spent the whole day there, and then we had like a dance. We had like a dance audition, but it was all with like the rest of the singers and stuff. So then we did dance day, and then we did more singing, like as a group, and then we had like 1-to-1 singing again. And I think I finished at I started at 8, and then we finished at 5. And then at the end of the day, like they get you to like fill in, if you get to the end, they get you to fill in this like paper, this form of all like your details on and stuff, which effectively puts you on their books for like their fleet, because it wasn't for like a specific thing, it was for like a general audition. And then and then what they say to you is, we may contact you throughout the year regarding a contract for yourself. So everything's filmed and stuff like that. So your whole audition is filmed, so that goes to head office and stuff like that. And then and then going just a little bit more onwards is that they then contacted 2 weeks later. I had a friend who worked for Royal before, and they were like, okay, just email them every 2 weeks just to remind them your availability, just to keep you fresh in their mind. So I did that once, and then we were in Edinburgh. I was with Kody actually at the time, and we were about to go see a show in Edinburgh, and then I just got an email saying like, we'd like to offer you this job, and I was like, oh wow. So that was that. Hey. The rest is history, really.
That's cool. Awesome, man. I mean, it's quite an intense bit though, isn't it? When you're having to get that, they give you a fat off book of like songs, and it's just like, because that was probably one of your like first like proper run of auditions, like out of uni sort of thing?
Yeah, so out of auditions,
like a few before.
So that was actually my last audition. No, I had one cruise ship audition after that. Sorry. So that was probably like my 5th audition. So I'd done a couple of like cruise ship auditions before, and they're very different. So I think I'd done Viking, I'd done Celebrity. I can't remember the other ones I'd done. Loads of other. I can't remember, to be honest.
This guy.
There's so many different names of them, and I just couldn't remember what the ones I did. And
yeah, there are a lot,
and they're all very different. But anyway, Harrison.
Yeah.
What was your first, mate?
Well, as Joe mentioned, we actually auditioned for the same company, and it was my first ever audition since leaving uni, and it came in probably as we were wrapping things up at uni. Got an email, had the audition come through, and like I was over the moon to know that I was going with someone that I knew, because I'd never experienced auditioning before other than at uni and stuff. So I was like, okay, at least if things go wrong, I've got someone there to give me a pat on the back and a little hug. And honestly, like me and Joe kind of teamed up in the audition process for Viking because we knew each other, and quite soon after starting the audition, we realised that a lot of auditions are after your personality. So your talent is definitely needed and required, but they want to know you. And me and Joe were just able to relax because we had each other. So we were just like giving each other banter through the audition, like professionally, not like mucking around, but like working it into
off.
Yeah, and we were working it into the performances that we had to do and stuff. And it was a 2-day audition process. And in a way, I've got to thank Joe, because that sort of, I think, helped boost me to, get through to the sort of final stages of it all. But I remember at the end of the first... No, I didn't mean it like that. But I remember at the end of the first day, I got given a sheet of paper, and it was like, you had to like sign your name and stuff, like say what dates you couldn't do and stuff, like the standard sort of form. And I remember getting it, and because it was my first audition, I was like, is this normal? Does everyone get this? And I went to McDonald's down the road and called my mum and was like, Mum, I think I'm through to the next round. And she went, what? She's like, no, you're not. And I was like, yeah, I think I am. She was just like super excited and like actually couldn't believe it. Like first audition, I was very lucky. Like first audition to sort of, get a job. Like, it was a good thing, but also I didn't have the experience of auditioning when I came back, so that was a bit of a nightmare. But
it's the stuff you dream of when you're coming out of like training, isn't it? Like, but also like you said, we've all now had that like time where, you're just not, when you have to audition for lots of stuff and not getting it. Like I think we were all lucky in that sense. But the first few things we went for, it stuck. At that point. It's just, but I think that's just the way it went. It wasn't anything to do with, like what uni went to or whatever. It's just the way it goes in our industry, I guess.
I mean, I know we're going to touch on this later, but like, and about like advice we would give and stuff. But I genuinely think though, like, I know we're saying we're lucky and we were fortunate. I don't like the word luck, but I call it I'm fortunate because of timings aligned and stuff like that. But we kind of like, and this isn't, and I'm going to big the boys up as well, as much as I am myself a little bit. But when you're coming out of uni or wherever you train and stuff like that, that's your opportunity to be at the top of your game, because like when you come out, it's like you're not training every day. So like, as much as we were fortunate to have those run of auditions and stuff, and obviously Kody was going to RAM anyway, so Kody wasn't really doing that at the time, although he had bagged a couple of jobs before he went to RAM. Bloody bastard. But I think Haz and I certainly were two people who were like grafters. So we were two people who grafted our way. Because especially Codes went to Royal Academy, if you don't know, and Harry and I but we all went to University of Chichester, which is a great place to train. However, it's not as high profile as other places. So certainly we felt like we had to work twice as hard, because we did. We had to work twice as hard because less people knew about it. So I'd say yes, we were fortunate, but I'd say like certainly to both of the boys, like as much as it was luck, you got it because you fucking worked your fucking ass off, man. Like it was like I always say you make your own luck, and people take the piss out of me like when I say that, but like I'm like, no, I don't agree. You make your own luck by working your ass off, and then you get a break, and we did, and we were fortunate to get that break straight away, but we still got it from being on it at the time.
Yeah, from sheer determination, and it all comes from you doing your bit as much as you can, and then it's the rest of it's out of your power. It's out of your hands. Like that's like you just said. That's just
completely
the
agree.
way it is with us.
And like we always, and especially like with us three. Especially with us three, it was certainly like healthy competition between us three. Like, because obviously us three are very completely different. Obviously, Codes is very different casting to Harry, and then I'm very different casting to both of those. Like, I'm 5'8", I'm a short ass little midget. So like, I'm very different to those. And whilst we may be characterized sometimes in the same way, because certainly in the MT industry, there's this Jack the Lad kind of character and pigeonhole that you can get pushed in. We're certainly like, I know Harry and I certainly get pushed in because of where we're from and stuff like that, and our personalities kind of suit that. We are very different, so it was very good and very nice to have that like healthy competition in the sense of like pushing each other and motivating each other to be better. Like when he got an audition, I was like, I'm not jealous of him. I'm really happy for him, but I want an audition for myself. So then I would go and I'd work my ass off and do that. So having Harry in my first audition, and when Harry got that job, I was so happy for him. And in the sense of, but then it made me feel like I now got to go get myself that, because I'm really happy for him. So now I'm going to motivate myself from that. And having him in that audition really helped me as well. Maybe kind of settled my nerves and made me feel comfortable and made me realise that an audition room doesn't have to be the most scary place in the world.
100%, man. I'll move on swiftly to now that you both got this job that you both got. So basically, you got the job, you're going to leave for the ship. What was your feelings, first of all, when you were saying your goodbyes? I'll go to Haz first. How are you feeling? Leaving home is quite a massive thing. Like to knowing you were going away for, what was it, half a year?
Yeah.
Like, at least on most cruises. So it's a big deal. What was your sort of thoughts at the time when you were you knew that was your day you were leaving? How was it?
Well, timing was really weird because it was 2018, so it was during the heights of the World Cup. We thought it was coming home.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, it didn't come home. Spoilers. But my brother also got married during right in the middle of my rehearsal process, and on the day of his wedding, my company that I was working with were really nice. They let me have the day off from rehearsals to go to the wedding, which is awesome. And on the day of that wedding was 10 days before we left for the ship, but it was the last day I was going to see quite a lot of the family, because obviously I was going to then be in rehearsals the whole time in London, not at home, and then just go. It was I think we went home on I can't remember. Claire, Freya, Michael, if you're listening, they're my castmates. I might be wrong on quite a lot of the facts in this. But say we got home on a Monday. We got sent home on the Monday of that rehearsal period, and then we'd be flying on the Wednesday. So there wasn't a lot of time to sort of pack your bags, get ready, and go. And I actually said goodbye to my mum 10 days, 2 weeks before I was actually leaving the country, because she went on holiday before I left for the ship. So yeah, it was weird because it was almost we'd all been to uni. And we stayed at uni afterwards as well, so we weren't really living at home anyway. But it was almost knowing that I wasn't even going to be in the same country as anyone other than the castmates that I'd met. I didn't know anyone, so it was an odd feeling. But it was more excitement than anything. There wasn't any fear of leaving, none of that. Joe said it just now. You just wanted to go. You wanted to get out there and just do it. And there was such an adrenaline and a buzz for weeks and weeks and weeks that once you finally got on the plane, you were it was like a release. And you're fuck, we're actually doing this. This is awesome. So saying goodbye to my mum 2 weeks before I was actually leaving was weird, but I'm sure she was fine.
That's awesome, man. I mean, it's always just it's a feeling that no one can sort of prepare you for. It's just you have to live through it, and that's what's great about doing cruises. You get to live through that exhilaration and that energy, and just looking forward to something like that, getting to visit these great places. What about you, Joe? What were you the same as Haz? What was your kind of feelings towards your last day?
Mine certainly going on the ship, I was I can't fucking wait, get me out of here. was more mine, because I think certainly the two I won't lie, I'm someone who likes to keep my friendship group small because it's too much effort for me, and I want to put all my effort into the people that I can put effort into.
It's easier,
it's easier, and also I get more out of it like that. But my point, the reason I say that is because obviously Haz had already gone. You were obviously at RAM, so you were really busy. And my other really close friend Gemma was doing her masters at Guildford in Guildford. So everyone was really busy, and I was at the time where I was just waiting, twiddling my thumbs. I didn't leave till October, and I found out about the job in August. So I was just I then had a month, because I was pretty busy until end of September because I was we were in Edinburgh at the time, and then I came back, and then I had to sort of other things out at home, and then obviously moved all my stuff out from where we went to uni and stuff like that. So I was a bit like, I just like itching my thumbs to go. To be honest with you, saying goodbye to my parents was pretty rough because like, so I'm my mum's only child, and I've got two half siblings. So my dad's already got 2 children, but I'm my mum's only child, and she was a wreck when I got to that. She took me to they took me to the airport. She was a wreck, like sobbing, and you know what? And even my dad got really upset. My dad like started tearing up, and I was like, oh my god, like. My dad doesn't do emotion, public emotion. He's not about that.
Yeah.
And like, that was really hot, and I got really overwhelmed by that. And then getting on the flight to America on my own, I think Harry's was different because he got to his whole rehearsal process was in London, and then he got to fly with his castmates. I obviously didn't know anyone, so Mum was like, I flew to Miami on my own. Because my rehearsal process was in Miami, which is quite extravagant. Which it sounds more extravagant than it is. It's really awesome, but it sounds more extravagant than it is. So my flight, I was getting a 10-hour flight to myself, and that was quite overwhelming. But if I'm honest with you, I slept the whole journey. I literally slept.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long flight.
No, I'd be serious. Like, I slept before we took off, and I woke up as we landed.
Oh god!
Like, I was not. That's what I'm saying. I was out.
Mate, you need to sleep more on planes then. Like
I know.
You're off podcast. Got trouble sleeping.
I think it's because
different story.
And the night before, I stayed up all night. I pretty much stayed up all night packing because classic me, I leave things to the last moment. And like, I packed everything, and my mum was like, "You've not packed it well enough," so she unpacked everything for me, and then she like made me help her pack. Well, I say made me help her pack my clothes. I sound like a 5-year-old, but like, she wasn't pleased with the way I packed my clothes, so she was like,
Naughty,
we're doing it again.
Joe.
She made me do it again. But yeah, so yeah, it was nice. I think I was just ready to go, to be honest. I was a bit like, okay, I'm ready now. I kind of was in the minds. Harry's was very hectic. Mine was very drawn out, leaving, and I was like, I just need to get out of here. And also like, I had a lot of stuff going on when I was at home anyway, so I just needed to get out of there. So yeah, mine was more get me out of it, really. But it was still hard saying goodbye to my mum. It was still hard saying goodbye to my mum and dad. I won't lie. That was sad because like 10 months is a long time.
Yeah.
So.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, I was going to ask you how long it was. 10 months is
mine was 10
long,
months.
long time. That's mad. Like, you got to think about. I think on average, cruises are kind of normally 6 months and above. Like,
it depends on
2-year contracts.
Yeah, it depends
like,
what kind of contract
you know what I mean?
you do. It does really depend on, and it depends on the company, because some companies, what they'll do is they'll have you go for like 2 months, and then you'll come back for a couple of weeks, and then you'll go for another 2 months, and then you'll come back. So they're a bit like that. But like, I think legally you're only allowed to be on a ship, on an actual ship for 10 months. I think it is at a time. I think that's what they say before you have to get off for at least 2 weeks and then go back on. So I'm don't quote me on that because I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure it's around that number.
Yeah, no, I think I've heard that somewhere as well. I think that's right. Makes sense. Long bloody time.
All right, it's quite. Well, we'll talk about it, but like, yeah, there's a lot. It's a lot. Quite overwhelming if you're on for that long a time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, with obviously you're both in different places doing rehearsals and stuff. Just very quickly for this. Talk me through how the rehearsal process was, because it's very different to, I assume it's very different to what we'd done at uni. When you're doing cruise stuff, there's so much things to think about that aren't just the show. Like there's other jobs as well as doing the show as well. Like I don't know which one of you wants to start on that, but rehearsal process.
Yeah,
what was that like?
I'll start. Like, I noticed almost immediately that at uni I used to think about it, but I never really like delved into it in my head. As soon as we started rehearsing day one, I was like, oh shit, like I'm getting paid to do this. I need to be on it. Like I need to bring my A game all the time. Not that we ever didn't, but you know what I mean? Like, it was like I was pushing myself even more to be like, okay, fuck, I need to really like deliver now. And especially because there was only 4 of us, and I know that different companies often rehearse multiple casts at the same time to sort of get them all ready. They're all learning the same stuff, but it was just us 4, and I was with like the best first job for people like Claire, Michael, and Freya. They're lovely, and it was just a fun process from start to finish. Like, we were all bringing our A game. We were still making each other laugh in lunch times and stuff, because it was also like you knew you were going to be living with these people, so you wanted to know them. Almost immediately you wanted to become best friends with them so that you could have the best time you could out there. And yeah, it was just amazing. Like Joe said, my process was quite short, the actual rehearsal process, so it was constant learning new material as quickly as you could. Best test ever for like your brain, because when you're at uni and stuff, you've got to learn a show, or you've got to learn like a load of songs really quickly, but you're not getting paid for it. You've got to learn it, and it's a test for you, and you're almost learning how to do that. Whereas in the real world, you've got to do it because you have a product to deliver. So it was just good. Like, I'm making it sound stressful, and it was a good stress. It was like a stress that you want. And yeah, like the whole thing was just lush. And in my experience, like being in London was amazing. But also just the company were really nice. They were so helpful. They were good for your mental health as well as your physical. And yeah, they were just awesome. My whole rehearsal process was lovely.
Yeah, that's so good. Especially the mental health thing as well. That's no, we may touch on it later on, but that's a massive part of going away. You've got to, that's one of the main things to make sure that's intact.
Yeah.
It just makes things so much easier.
They were really good at like navigating it, because they were slowly making you aware that that's what you were doing. Like, obviously, because you were so excited to have got a job, you're like, oh my God, I've got it. And then they were like, right, you are aware that you're going to be away from everyone. It is a bubble for 6 months. That's it. Like, yes, you can talk to them, you can text them or whatever, but it's not the same. And you've got a job to do. You're pretty much always working, and it was slowly like, they were just really good at handling that. They were like, and it just made you more excited. There was never a moment where we were scared of going. We were literally just buzzing from the off. And I think that's such a good asset to have as a company, but also to have as your first job. It's just like, it's the perfect experience to sort of put you out there. And like I said earlier, like they were so accommodating to the point where on my form when I was auditioning, I just said the only date I'd like to not be in a rehearsal for is my brother's wedding. And I think that almost helped me, because they've realised, like, these jobs, especially when you're a vocalist, they're looking for you. They're looking for a character, but they're looking for you. Your personality is what's going to sell a lot of the stuff. So as soon as they saw that I was like in touch with my family, I was close to them, and like they mean everything, I think that was their way of going, oh no, okay, we'll help you out, and then you're going to help us out by like pushing and going the extra mile or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And that was just so nice of them. Such a good... I hope they listen to this, because I'm picking them up.
You better. That's mental. That's amazing. I mean, how was yours sort of similar? Well, I know it wasn't similar because you had a much bigger sort of cast with you, Joe. But again, what was your process like? Was it... was it much
mine
different?
Was... I'd say mine was very different, to be honest with you. Mine was like... Because obviously... So, when you go to Royal, they've got loads of different ships are rehearsing at the time, and they're all rehearsing different shows, because each ship has a different show. Some shows are on more than one ship, but everyone's rehearsing different. You have a director... The way majority of them work are, unless you're on one of the book shows, which is like Greece and stuff like that, it's got like so you've got a director, which is like your choreographer, and then you've got your vocal director, who sorts out all the singers and stuff like that. So the first thing we did was like we went and learned pretty much all the material for one show. So we did one show, then the other show, and then it was so. Certainly, from my experience, it was possibly the hardest thing I've ever done, material-wise, just purely because in a musical, and when you train, you're only used to singing. Even if you're a lead, you would only sing maybe 5 songs in a 2-hour musical. and not all those songs will be really hard to sing. Some of them will be easy singing. Some of those will be duets. Blah blah. In some of my shows, I'd probably sing 13 songs, and they're all like bam bam, like they're all up there. They're all belting. There's some are soft. They're all very different in the sense of like. Some songs have to be controlled, some songs are different styles, some songs are rocky, some songs are poppy, some songs are like more classical, and it's just like, and I was like, whoa, this is a lot. And I get quite a bad allergy, so I was like suffering with like the aircon and stuff, so I started like taking antihistamines and stuff like that. So I was getting really dry a lot of the time, and do you know what I found out? Pretty much, I realised now is probably I just didn't drink enough because I wasn't used to that weather. So I was just completely dry all the time.
So different, man, out there.
So it was because also at the same time, like I said, you're with I always feel, and I was talking to my two housemates because they've both worked for Royal as well, but they've both worked as dancers, and it's very different because as a dancer, because you. As a vocalist, certainly, it's like you're all relying on that one your voice, but it's pretty much that one thing. Whereas a dancer, you're relying on all your muscles, and it's a lot more taxing dancer-wise, and they're insane with the jobs they do.
Yeah.
But it's very much reliant upon your voice, and if your voice is crap, or as in like health-wise, you're kind of like screwed, really. So you have to learn very quickly how to adjust, and like. Because also you're adjusting to moving to a new country. You're living in a new country, and a country where we've gone from like a max of like 15 degrees on a good day in the UK to like 32 degrees in Miami, but like you're in a studio all day, so I don't think like I'm walking down Miami Boulevard like living it up. I'm like in a studio all day. Yeah, exactly. I'm in a studio all day, and then you walk outside, it's like blistering heat, and you're like, what the hell was going on? It's like, so it's a lot on the voice when you're in a really cold place, and then whether there's loads of aircon, so you've got jumpers on, you walk outside, and it's like, oh my god, get me in my Speedos right now. I don't wear Speedos, I'm just using it as a term.
Yeah, he does.
not my hairy legs, mate. But it was very intense, and like as much as I loved it, I was very aware that rightly so. When I say this, Royal are very on it. So if you're not stepping it up, you will you'll be given a chance. But if you're not giving them what they need, you will be sent home. And like you will be say like, sorry, you're not good. You're not doing what's required of you. You need to effectively. I say get fired. Is reality what it is, but it's just them. They need to maintain their standards. So like, if you're not meeting that, then rightly so, you shouldn't be doing the job. And they'll
it's
find
like
someone better
any like
it.
office job. You know, if you're not hitting targets or requirements, then you got to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they're quite known for being like having high standards. And being on it with that, like if you're not doing it, then bye. Sorry, we haven't got because they haven't got time. You've got to have that show. That cast need to be on that ship, ready to do that show on that day. And if you're not ready, and if you're not going to be doing it, you have to go. Bye. People are paying a lot of money for those cruises, so like if you're not good enough,
it's a hard reality to suddenly face, because like from when you're training, you definitely don't get that sort of. You do, but you don't get it in the sense of, oh shit, people are paying for this. Like you said, like a lot of money, and like I mean, with Royal is a massive company. It's a huge company, so they get the pick of the crop in a sense of, if you're not good enough or if you're not up to scratch at the time, they'll just get someone else, which is like most things, but especially in, like you said, in Royal, that's
it's just the way they do things, and it works. And also, you're getting used to working with people who work differently. So working with people from the US. So my director and my vocal director and director are both from the US. So that again, they use different words and terminologies, certainly for singing. They'll be like, okay, can you do that? Can you like, I can't remember. Let's say spread, and I'm like, right, okay, I have a different definition of that to what you have a different definition of. So then you have to get used to working to for people of different nationalities, because I was the only English person on my ship. So like it was it was intense and it was amazing, and I would do it again. As in, like, I wish I could go. If I was going to do it, I would do it again differently. However, it was an overwhelming experience, but it was a great experience in the sense because it gave me kind of kick up the arse and made me realize, okay, I need to be on it. But then, as soon as I had the first week, I kind of settled in, and I was like, okay, let's do this.
That's awesome. I mean, I'm going to stop here because I need a toilet, but I will come back and ask you more questions.
I'm glad you said it because I'm pinching my penis.
Yeah, I'm going to go pee as well.
That needs to
great
get
timing,
cut.
my friend.
The old pinch the penis, that works, doesn't it? Hey listener, thank you so much for tuning in to part 1 of episode 15. Now, just before you go, we have a new page set up on Ko-fi, which is spelled Kofi. This is a page where you can donate just £3, the standard price of a coffee. Any donation helps fund our general upkeep for the podcast in these uncertain times with things like editing softwares and microphones. If you enjoy what we do and want to show some love, head over to our Instagram page, 3am Chats Podcast, and you will find the link in our bio. Thank you.